Hey guys, Envy here. Thank you very much for tuning in and welcome to the first episode of Rocket League Mastery. Today I'll show you how every single part of the camera settings work so you can create your own unique camera settings. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Before we actually get into the spicy stuff, make sure that the camera shake is disabled. We disable that because it makes the clarity of the game significantly worse and it makes the game just look a lot less smooth overall. Now that we've got that settled, field of view, also known as FOV, is basically everything that you can see through your camera. The value you choose here essentially decides how big this field of view is. As you can see right now, depending on this setting, you can see way more or less. Just from this angle, we can't even see both posts of the orange goal. At the default value, which is 90 degrees, we can see the goal comfortably, but just look at how much you can see when this value is at 110. You can even see that boost in the right corner. And because of what I just showed you, I highly recommend you to put this setting to 110, which is the maximum value. The next thing is the distance. This defines how far away the camera is from your car. At a low value, the camera is very close, and if you turn it higher, you can even see what's behind your car. This setting is preference for the most part, just hop into free play and figure out what feels best for you. Very common values are somewhere between 260 and 320. The next setting also goes hand in hand with distance. It's the height of your camera and it decides how far above the car your camera is flying. If the value is low, the camera is basically sitting behind your car's exhaust pipes, whereas if you've got this one to a very high value, you see about as much as a government satellite. This one's preference, and as I already said, it also strongly depends on your camera distance, so adjust both of these at the same time and figure out what feels good to play with. Now, the camera angle is also dependent on the distance and height, and this setting defines whether your camera is tilted or not. On a 0-degree angle, it is basically aligned with the car and entirely front-facing, whereas with a minus 15-degree angle, it is tilted heavily towards the car. Play around with the setting a bit as well, see what works best for you. The most common values are between minus 3 and minus 5 degrees. Now that we've adjusted all the settings that bind the camera to a certain place, with stiffness we can allow it to move around dynamically as we play, or we can fully lock it into one place. This is something that's also rather hard to explain. Basically, when you move and your stiffness is not set to 1, the camera will not follow your movements with pinpoint accuracy due to physics being a thing. It will shake, wobble and shift as you're moving. This setting is basically there to let you define how much the camera is allowed to move from its original spot. If you have it on a low value, it will move around a lot. If it's on the highest possible value, which is 1, the camera will literally not move from the original spot in the slightest. I recommend a value that's on the higher end, since this will make your camera very precise while still making things feel very smooth. It's weird to explain, just jump into free play and mess around with it, you'll see what I mean. The last two settings are purely preference and actually almost irrelevant, but because this is essentially a masterclass on camera settings, we'll cover that as well. The swivel speed basically defines how fast your camera will turn when you look around. I recommend leaving this somewhere around the middle so you still maintain proper control over it, but you don't need to pull your camera into one direction for 3 months just to check where your teammate is rotating. The last thing I'm going to address is the transition speed. This setting defines how quickly your camera focus will change when you activate or deactivate the ball cam. If it's a low value, there's the slow sliding transition. If it's the highest possible value, it shifts over so fast that there's no transition at all. Put this to a value of 5 so you still maintain a bit of smoothness without missing out on anything, and call it a day on that one. Now that you have an idea of how everything in this section works but still can't decide on your own camera settings, I can relate. So to help you with that, I've linked the camera settings of several professional players or other YouTubers in the description down below. And that concludes my camera settings guide. Got any questions or feedback? Leave them in the comments down below. If this guide helped you, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. It takes less than 5 seconds and it really helps a small content creator like me to grow. My Discord is also linked in the description in case you'd like to join my community. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Envy. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.